Welcome to Operations Management course Bus 3110 at Centenary University. I am Gregory Lynch, Adjunct Instructor for this course. The lecture is based on the text Operations and Supply Chain Management, 14th edition by Robert Jacobs and Richard Chase, published by the McGraw-Hill companies. We will be covering Chapter 1 in this lecture. The learning objectives for Chapter 1. We will identify the elements of operations and supply chain management. You'll see this acronym OSCM throughout. So this is what is operations and supply chain management? Why am I here? Know the potential career opportunities. So what roles are out there? And the major concepts that define operations and supply chain management. We'll also look at some efficiency evaluations. So what is operations and supply chain management? Really converting raw materials through your business process and entering them into the marketplace. These are the activities that happen to convert these raw materials, apply value, and distribute them into the market for customers. These cover products and services. So what's the difference between operations and supply chain? Operations are the activities that convert these raw materials into a finished good, whereas supply chain is involved in delivering raw materials, delivering goods into the operation, and then delivering it out of the operation to the end customers. So we can categorize these activities in terms of planning, sourcing, making, delivering, and returning. Planning involving really planning the entire supply chain process, from anticipating your customers' needs, identifying what raw materials need to be obtained, and scheduling that the making and the delivery of those finished goods. Sourcing involves working with suppliers, managing their performance, and getting a price terms on those raw materials. Making is the conversion of those raw materials into a finished good, while managing the costs, quality, and service on those. Delivering is the logistics involved in taking the finished goods and getting them to market. And returning is the support that you provide your customers for your products after the sales are done. The difference between goods and services is that a good is something that it's produced, it could be stored, it's something that we can make outside of the customer experience. We can stock it, we can ship it, it can be protected by a patent, and it can be made over and over again to a very tight specification. We can therefore control the quality and make sure that only goods that are of good quality make it to market. Services, however, are intangible. You can't weigh them and ship them. You can't store them. They can't be patented. And it really happens. Service really happens when you're working directly with the customer. So it's very hard to get a specification on that. Services are also determined by the behavior of the customer. Whereas a good, we can produce it and only release it after we're comfortable that the the quality is sufficient. A service can the customer can take that service in a different direction at the time of the service. So the goods and services continuum, we have pure goods, core services, and pure services. So pure goods are really commodity items that have little impact with the end customer, whereas core goods are maybe taking some of these pure goods and adding some value to them, adding some service aspects to them, and getting closer to the customer. Whereas core services are a combination of some goods and more heavily relying on services. We could see in the example there, hotels and airlines. They have assets such as hotel rooms and airplanes, but then it's really about the service that those firms are providing. And then we have pure services, which really rely on no goods, and it's just purely a service. Financial planning is a good example where they're not selling any good that you're going to walk out of a meeting with a financial planner. It's really all about the advice that they give you, so it's a pure service. So we have some approaches that firms take are this bundling of a product and a service. In the example here, we could see we have the iPhone X, which is a product that Apple sells, and then they also are looking to sell Apple Care, which is a service. So if a firm can do this well, they can really increase their revenue by bundling this together and giving more value to the customer, and then also taking more in cash. Some careers in operations and supply chain management. There's a wide spectrum of careers out there. You can do a search on Indeed or LinkedIn and put in the keyword operations, and you'll see all the roles that come up. Here are some examples from call center manager, facilities manager, project manager, quality control, and logistics. So the field has been growing. It's answering really the customer's need for faster service, higher quality, and lower costs. The market is always changing. There's high competition in the production of goods and services. So we have it's necessary to continuously improve the process that a firm has established. So we see the Henry Ford quote, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. And that is not good enough in a competitive market. So through the years, as we've been studying the field of operations and supply chain management, we've had a number of revolutions. Well, going back to the Industrial Revolution, and we don't go back that far. We're really in the modern era, where in the 1970s on our timeline here, we really started to think about the manufacturing strategy. Now, some firms like the Ford Motors had already put a lot of thought into this, and but in the 1970s is when we were studying it and putting together a process for a strategy. In the 1980s, we had the just-in-time revolution, really from the Toyota Motors. And so just-in-time is about limiting the amount of inventory we keep to only have that on hand that's needed for the immediate next order. Really, that's a pure just-in-time approach. Coupled with total quality management, which is the aggressive identification and elimination of defects, their root cause, so to prevent them from happening in the future. And we have service, quality, and productivity. So these are studies on our overall productivity of our process and the quality that we're achieving within that process. We have Six Sigma quality, which is a statistical approach to measuring a process and identifying where that process can be improved. In the mid 90s, we have business process reengineering, where it's about not making incremental improvements to a process such as the just-in-time and total quality management approach would be, but to really blow up the process, evaluate a process, rethink the entire thing, reorganize it, and then just establish a new process, eliminating any activities or tasks that do not bring value to the customer. Supply chain management in the turn of the current century, and this is really brought on about by the ability and availability of more data and interconnection between customers and suppliers, which is driven by this e-commerce revolution, really where we're digitizing everything, and our customers can go speak directly to the factory through an electronic platform. And as we get into service science, really where this amount of data and digital delivery has driven a whole new set of a whole new industry and study in the service sciences. And with all this data, we have then business analytics. We've had data. You could always collect data in the past, but now there's just a mass amount of data available, and the problem really then becomes making sense of it all. And we go into the Internet of Things, really where this is connecting really every step, every component within your operations and supply chain process to be able to collect data and be able to react. So our manufacturing strategy paradigm, this was coming out of the Harvard Business School. It's really about trade-offs. So a firm can do a couple of things well, but they're always going to trade off another. In the model has quality, service, and cost. And a firm can't do all those things really, really well, right? It's extremely difficult to be known for all three. You take a high-end vehicle, a Mercedes-Benz, I'll say. They're really going to excel at the quality, and they're going to excel at the service. They're going to compromise the cost while excelling at those two. And we can look at that that model for other examples. If a firm is going to make a cost play, they're going to compromise service and quality. Just-in-time, total quality control, and lean manufacturing. So these developed through the Toyota production system, and this is really about maximizing your cash flow. Inventory is a waste. It ties up capital. So the philosophy behind this approach is to minimize the amount of inventory that you have at any given time, and that's raw material and finished good inventory. It's about only making what is actually on order, and then only ordering what's actually needed. So this is referred to generally as lean manufacturing. So service quality and productivity, it's about measuring the effectiveness of our process, and we can measure this across the service quality dimensions. How reliable is this service? How responsive is it? Is it security and confidentiality? Do I trust the service provider? So in the example, it's the Uber driver, right? Anyone who's taken an Uber can think of this in their ride experience. How reliable were they? Did they show up when they said they were going to show up? How responsive were they? Did you reach out to them prior to the ride, and did they get back to you to say that they're on their way? Did you feel safe while with the service provider? Were they approachable? Communication. Did they talk to you? Was there a good conversation that you had, or was there completely no communication? So you could walk through an example like the Uber driver experience, or any other. You could really put these dimensions against any quality and service. So total quality management is really it's part of the quality movement, really in getting everyone involved in quality. Everyone who touches the product within the process. Its quality is not just something to be concerned about from a marketing or retail sense. Really, along the entire chain, every hand in that process has to be concerned about quality. Deming is well known for this, for pushing the quality movement, and then it becomes an industry unto itself, where we have quality certifying agencies that will come into your process, audit your process, and give you a certification that your process is maintaining a quality standard. So we see firms like SGS, Bureau Veritas, really auditing to standards established by ISO. So business process reengineering. Again, it's about identifying the value add versus non-value add activities within a process, and then reorganizing that process, eliminating non-value added activities, automating what can be automated, to increase efficiency, and really to, again, as I stated earlier, not to. This approach is not going to look to make incremental small improvements. It's really about blowing up the whole thing. So initial work by Taylor with scientific management, who was really the first person to really look at a business process, observe it, and really challenge why we were doing things the way we were. Six Sigma quality. So this is coming out of total quality management, and it's looking to really use a scientific approach and a statistical approach to find anomalies within a process. These, you can see there's an entire industry built around this as well, with what we have as yellow, green, and black belts that will be trained. It's different training levels of people within the operation that can identify opportunities for improvement. They have been given the skills in order to measure them, and then manage a change which will make an impact on the process, preferably for the good. So this approach is not limited to manufacturing. It's used in various industries. Six Sigma really being, literally being, achieving a certain defect rate. On the table here, it's 1 in 250,000 to be a Six Sigma firm, which is really ideal. You're best in class if you're reaching anywhere near that. That's saying 1 in every 250,000 opportunities for failure, there's a failure, which is extremely impressive. So in supply chain management, really, I think the revolution here has come with the information age, in really connecting customers really directly to the operation, which enables the mass customization to respond to the customer's needs and produce what the end customer specifically wants. The example I put up here, it's a bit funny of an example, but we have M&Ms, which you can imagine M&Ms are produced by the millions, perhaps billions, in a factory. But I can, as an end consumer, log into their website, put my picture up, load it in, and put a special message, and within a few days, these M&Ms will have been produced and delivered to my doorstep. So that type of agility is really possible with the convergence of a really, really tight operation, coupled with information management systems. And e-commerce. So we've just in the end of the last and beginning of this century have really revolutionized the way that customers interact with suppliers. We can, in many cases, go direct. We see that traffic to the brick and mortar stores is down because of firms like, in the example, Zappos, Amazon, and then the established firms reacting with their own e-commerce platforms. So what is this giving us? We cut out a lot of the logistics and have to go through new logistic channels. We're not delivering trailers to large big box stores as much as delivering single boxes to individual doorsteps. And the service expectation is only getting greater with, as competition increases, you see reactions from firms such as Amazon for same-day delivery. So service sciences now with this whole new platform of which we can operate. Now in and of itself, we have an entirely new industry of the service sciences, really to be able to serve the needs of these firms that are expected to operate at greater and greater speeds. And with this, we get a massive amount of data, data collection, data being generated by users, not just entering an order into a computer. I mean, that's one thing, but just the amount of data that we're generating when you walk out of your house to your car, your mobile phone is collecting all that data. When you're driving into to a shopping center, there's the awareness that you're there. You can be targeted ads because you've reached a certain geographic location. What are your likes, your dislikes? You have social media information converging on this, and this is just an amazing amount of data, which brings a problem of what to do with it. We then have, beyond people, we even have our machines that are collecting this data from delivery vehicles to manufacturing systems. Each component, each piece of equipment is aware of certain statuses physically, and is capturing that, collecting it, and even making decisions to maybe order its own maintenance order. Examples like that are just driving this huge amount of data that we're collecting, and if we don't know what to do with it, it's really not that useful, which drives business analytics, right? It's really making sense of all this data, this rich data that's coming in. So some current issues and challenges. Coordinating relationships between mutually supportive but separate organizations. Of course, we have even within firms, we have competing priorities. Sales and marketing want to increase revenue, and the operations group wants to make sure they're maintaining quality while also keeping the cost down. We live in a global. This is a global economy, so our suppliers may be within close proximity, but more often they are far away. So how are we managing that? The distribution of goods that we need to run our operation. Customer touch points. So how are we engaging with customers? Because every day your competition will find a way to be more in touch with theirs and your customers more than you are. How do we see operations and supply chain management from the C-suite, right? The CEO and the management of a firm. How are they seeing that this group, the operations group, can bring an advantage to the firm over its competition? And how are we managing the triple bottom line? Not losing sight of our people, the community, the environment. So how do we measure the efficiency and effectiveness of a firm from the outside? Because we don't often get the opportunity to look inside to see what's going on. So we have to take the annual reports that firms will produce to show their overall health. So from a finance perspective, we look at a few, some ratios which then we can benchmark in a comparison to competitors or perhaps other firms that might be in different industries but have similar operations. Really to see how effectively they're using their capital, right? How receivable turnover is really a measure of how fast are they collecting on the products that they've the orders that they've booked or delivered. So if we have a receivable turnover that's low, maybe we've extended terms too long, payment terms to our customers. Inventory turnover is how fast are we converting our inventory into finished goods and selling those goods, right? So it's our cost of goods sold over the average inventory value. We don't want to sit on a lot of inventory. Inventory is tying up our capital. So we want to see that we're converting this inventory into goods that have been sold. And then asset turnover. It's really about how efficiently are we using our assets. So if we have a factory that we just built and it cost us $10 million, and we have $10,000 of revenue from it, we're not going to have a very good asset turnover. Be a red flag that we're not efficiently using our capital. So that concludes chapter 1. I leave you with the following quote from Taishi Ono. Having no problems is the biggest problem of all. I take that to mean that when you don't see that you have any problems, then you really stop improving, and that's a significant failure. Thanks for listening.